If you want to dive deeper and get hands-on experience managing a gaming project, or you're managing creating illustrations, animation videos, make sure you join my waiting list. Have you ever been handed a project brief that's left you with more questions than answers? In gaming, a project brief can either make or break a project. In today's video, I'm going to break down a project brief step by step, showing you what to look out for, how to identify missing information, and essentially how to avoid common mistakes. Let's get started. Hello. So we have a new brief. So it's the Battlefield social launch campaign. So the first section is the background, then an overview. Then we've got the project objective, the key messaging, the assets, where we would find all the visuals and the imagery, the deliverables, which is very important, and the live date. But let's just have a read through and then we can analyze this brief together. So it says in the background in the overview section, this project involves developing a set of engaging static social media posts to generate buzz and drive interest in the new game. The goal is to target new players and encourage them to download the app. Okay, so from reading this, I can see that it's a static social post. I say it's a static social post. It doesn't actually clarify how many posts they require. It just says static social media posts. So one of the things we need to clarify straight away is the number of static posts that they require. And just straight away from this, because it's static, we know that it's not video animation. It's going to be a static post, which means that we're only going to be needing a designer. The goal is to target new players, so that's perfect. They've already clarified who the target audience is. It is new players, so it's not existing players, it's new players. So they want these new players to download the app. So the objective is to create a series of static social media posts to promote the launch of a new Battlefield game. Okay, so again, it's just the static social media post. They just need to clarify the number of posts that they require, and it's to promote the new Battlefield game. And they've already clarified that they want to target new players and that they want to encourage them to download the game app. So the call to action is download the game today. Straightforward, easy peasy, that's fine. I don't have any questions around that. And as I'm analysing this, if you guys have any questions as well that you'd probably ask the client, then also let me know in the comment section, because that'd be really good to get your feedback also. So the assets, download all assets from Google Drive. Okay, so one thing they haven't got here is the link. So they would need to provide the Google Drive link. They would need to provide access as well. I would probably give the client the email address of it'll be myself, my email address, and the designer, so that the designer can get access into the files and the images straight away, and they're not sort of waiting around for them to, be given the access. So I would request for them to provide access straight away, and to myself as well, so I can have a look through the files. It's always good when the project manager has access to these files as well, because if the files on the imagery are a bit of a mess, or it's there, it says here that there's a selection of 50 high-res images. You can, as a project manager, should be able to identify, they said in the brief that there's 50 high-res images, but they've only sent me 5. So you as a project manager should be, keeping an eye out for this as well, and so that you can report back to the client or the stakeholder if there's any issues, or something isn't correlating correctly on the brief. So you're communicating with the client, and it's your attention to detail. I also am going to need style guide, some kind of style guide or a brand guidelines. That would be really useful to have, and it will just ensure that, because it says that it's a campaign, so they might have other creative elements that other agencies are working on. So just so that we are in line with whatever they're producing as well. There could be a video that somebody else is working on, just so that the logo's in the right place and everything runs cohesively and seamless with the other assets too. we would definitely need some kind of brand guidelines. So we're using the correct fonts and the correct, colors and so forth. So I would probably check with the client as well if they have any references of how they would like this to look, any visual references. They're going to be providing imagery, which is great, but do they have a reference of what they would actually like this to look, or are they giving us, free autonomy, free reign to do what we want to do? So I will just double check if there's any references. Then we've got the deliverables. So, okay, we know it's a social media design. Oh, I just remember something. Create a series of from social media posts. Which platform? Is it Instagram? Is it Facebook? They need to confirm which platform. They've given us the size, which is good. So that's a square dimensions. That's fine. It's just always good for them to clarify which social platform they want it on. And so it says here, create a series of static imagery featuring game characters, environments and key features. Okay, so I have put here references, which is great. So that would cover this. So they're given a bit more of a description. So game characters, how many characters, that would be useful to know. The number of characters they want in a post, which characters. So these are some of the fundamental questions as well for games. If the client or the stakeholder isn't being specific. So how many characters, which characters, the environments, what environment, key features. So this would definitely need a reference. So they'd probably need to provide more information on that. The designer probably wouldn't feel comfortable just to start if it's not saying which game characters, what environments and the key features, which key features. If it was a new designer who was new to this, they would need more information. And post copy, write engaging captions and descriptions for each post. So we already know it's more than one post for each post to complement the visuals. So we need a copywriter as well as a designer for the posts. And then hashtags and tags, develop a list of relevant hashtags and tags to increase the reach of the posts. So we need a copywriter, a nice creative copywriter for this. And it's clarifying here the size, which is square, and it's only this, so that's fine. And then we've got the live date here, but it just says July 2025. It doesn't say when in July. Are they flexible? If our studio, for example, is really busy, then can we, can we select when in July? So they just need to clarify when in July, or is there any flexibility? That would be it based on the brief. I would probably, have a look through this a couple more times, and then what I would do is I will pop the questions I have into an email. So I'll probably send this to the lead project manager or whoever I'm reporting to, probably just to double check, especially if it's my first project. I will double check, are these questions okay to go to the client? And like I said, there's nothing wrong with double checking. It's probably good to double check for your first project, just so that you're getting to know the client. We are freelancers, we're going into organizations that have existed before we join, so we're a newbie. Double check before you send anything to the client, because if it's a higher paying client, a VIP client, the organization are probably going to be a bit more, protective over that client. So they're not just going to let a freelancer just send anything to the client straight away, especially if you're, if you're a junior PM, midweight PM, just double check. Even as a senior PM, still just double check for your first couple of projects. Is this okay? Are you happy with this tone? And so forth. That's what I do personally. So I always make sure I double check just to make sure that they're happy with my style and, that I haven't missed anything. So a couple of extra things I would probably ask the client as well. I would ask the client, what's their usual turnaround time? So for when I'm putting the timeline together, then I know, okay, these clients, they need 2 days to turn around feedback, for example. Turnaround time. I would also ask, who is the key approver? It's always useful to know who is the person, the stakeholder who is going to be approving. Is it a number of different people? Is it just one person? Is it 2 people? If it's more than one person, then it's really important that they consolidate their feedback rather than giving feedback in like drips and drabs and, different people having different opinions. It's really challenging when it's like that, when you get feedback like that, because some of the feedback might contradict each other and the designer isn't going to know what information he should be focusing on the most. So just to briefly recap, I'm asking them the number of posts. I'll be asking them which platforms, This is going to be on, is it just Instagram? Is it Facebook? Is it another platform that I'm not aware of? This is fine. Download the game today. I could ask them if they want this actually on the post or just in the caption. I assume it'll be on a caption, but I could ask them that as well. They need to provide a Google link so that myself and the designer and the copywriter as well can have a look at the visuals. I would need some kind of style guide or brand guidelines, again, so that the designer is clear on the layout and so forth. Could be a new designer. I would need some kind of reference as well, which would also be useful here for the game characters and the game characters and the environment and key features that they mention here. Just give us a visual reference. What are you referring to exactly? And the characters as well, what characters they want, how many characters they want. It could be 5 characters, it could be 4 characters. They need to clarify the number of characters. As I read through the brief, it tells me exactly what I need. So I know I also need a copywriter in addition to the designer, copywriter to put the hashtags together as well. And they need to confirm the live date, the exact live date, and if there's any flexibility. For example, so when I'm doing the timeline, if our studio is going to be busy at the time, then is there flexibility? Does it need to be in July? Is there anything that is pushing this particular month? Is everything else going live at the same time? Are there any other assets that other agencies are working on? So it's really good to have these kind of conversations with the client as well. And then additional things I would ask is for the turnaround time. 2 days is usually standard. Who is the key approver? And if there's more than one approver, can they consolidate the feedback? So that would be all I would ask at this moment. Let me know if there's anything else that you would ask. This is the kind of thing we'll be doing in the Hands-On Project Management Accelerator program. So you'll be going through the project lifecycle from start to finish. So you'll be giving your own brief and you'll be analysing the brief, going back to the client, and going through the whole process. You'll be managing your own project essentially. So this is the proper experience that you're going to be able to write on your CV, on your LinkedIn profile, and you can talk about how you manage your project from start to finish, which will completely open the doors for you to land your project management role. Now you know exactly how to analyze a project brief within the gaming sector. Now this is one of the key steps in a project lifecycle, right? So now that you understand how to do this, you are setting your project up for success. And if there's something that you don't understand as the project manager, then your team are likely to not understand as well. So the best thing that you can do is dissect the brief and ask lots of questions. Now, if you want to dive deeper and get hands-on experience managing a gaming project where you're managing creative illustrations, animation videos, make sure you join my waiting list for the Hands-On Project Management Accelerator program. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.